Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. It's Tuesday. We'll have Buddy Martin and we'll have Chris Harris from FloridaGators.com talk about hoops, Gator hoops. They started practice a week ago today. If you missed it, Gator Major League Baseball playoffs start today. You got 4 games. First one's around 2 o'clock Eastern time. Braves found a way to get into the postseason yesterday. Last night, Dolphins go down, and the Detroit Lions just keep rolling right along. Congratulations to Jared Goff for throwing a perfect game in football. It doesn't happen, folks, ever that I can think of. But my good buddy Mark Brunell's the quarterback coach, so he coached him up. But no, he's always said Jared Goff's one of the most talented guys he's ever seen. I agree with that. And then the next guy, he's talented as well. The good old Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show.
Morning,
What's
Shane.
happening, buddy? How you doing?
I was remarking myself about the fact that Jared Goff, the forgotten quarterback. You know, you forget these guys go away for a while and come back and they say, well, geez, they went in mothballs. That's a wonderful story. And I love the story because what happened to the coach. He went 18 for 18, and the coach made a mistake. He gave the game ball to somebody else. And he said, oh, my gosh, I feel terrible. I just gave the game ball to somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I guess that was a big deal. But, yeah, that's quite a story. There's so many good stories right now, Shane, out there in college football and even in pro football. And, by the way, let's not forget what happened over the weekend. That Georgia-Alabama game is resonating with me still. And, of course, the stories we heard about last night and we had on the show, the great Pete Rose, think of him what you will. He's gone at 83, and there's so many great stories out there about Pete Rose and his life, which was the checkerboard. So, anyway, yeah, that's congratulations to Jared Goff.
Yeah, Pete Rose needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And also we lost Dikembe Mutombo. To cancer. I did not know he was sick. Kanye Ron wants to know, did I ever get my yard cleaned up? Yeah, for the most part. I got to deal with a fence, but other than that. Daniel says, didn't Kerwin have a perfect completion percentage? Yeah, but Kerwin threw like 5 passes. Jared Goff was 18 of 18 for like 296 yards. It was no dinking and dunking. He's talented. That's why he was first pick in the draft a few years ago. So Robert on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, good morning. Any update on Kerwin's situation since yesterday? They still have issues with their phones, man. I don't know if all their players made it back. Folks, I got friends up in that area and people in Charlotte. It's a disaster what happened up in the mountains. And they're not getting as much help as they need. It's sad. But there's just a lot of dead bodies laying around and people can't get food and water to them. So it's not good. It's not good at all. And if you see any of these things on social media from some of the people that live there that are trying to help, it's God bless them. I mean, I wish there was something I could do to help, but all you can do is just.
Well, you give to the Red Cross.
Well, that's true. But I like this lady, I saw her video and it was awesome. She's like, nobody can eat money and nobody can drink money. We need people to bring food and water to certain places, and then they will get it to the people. And I agree with that. So
that's very true.
Also want to give a shout out to one of our great sponsors, Comfort Temp. They came and took care of an issue with my AC yesterday, and they were here quickly, got stuff done. So if you need any AC or heating issues with I don't know if we're ever going to need a heater here. But make sure you call our good friends at Comfort Temp.
Good to have.
All right, buddy.
Good to have.
What you got?
That's good to have someone like Comfort Temp there when you need them, because there's a lot going on. I just want to say,
Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to say that a lot of stuff out there, but one thing that struck me was someone posted on Twitter. Helene has toll has risen to over 130 victims. A survivor in North Carolina describes seeing bodies stuck in trees. Brutal. Oh,
Yeah, it's crazy, and our hearts and prayers go out to the people in the state of Florida. There's no question about that. But the difference is we could prepare for, the storm coming. You probably lost a lot. Hopefully you evacuated. But what happened to them up in the mountains is just, we'll never see it in our lifetime ever again.
who would you think? My wife has a place in Waynesville, up the mountain. It's a beautiful place and was spared, luckily. But I mean, that place, they're washed out I-40. You can't get Asheville or houses floating down the street.
Yeah.
And who would have thought? I told Dawn, what if we had gone to North Carolina to get out of the storm? We'd still be there for months. You can't get out. So,
Well,
and that's
yeah. Or you may be floating down a river like some of these people, like,
could be, but not where we are. We're on top of a mountain, but certainly getting down below you in Waynesville. Maggie Valley was wiped out, little town many people in Ocala know about. So this stories for centuries are going to last there. It's just awful, awful, awful. And they're saying locals are describing the apocalyptic scenes on the ground as the official death toll continues to climb. Anyway, there were bodies in the trees. They were finding bodies under the rubble. Said a local woman, it says she made it out of her house before it collapsed. At Black Mountain, known for also the great Doc Watson's hometown, seeing bodies floating in ditches. It's just awful. And at times like this, it's just you don't know what to say or do. You're right. You want to do something, but
yeah.
but you ought to organize a group and take them up there.
Well, that's the other thing. The lady was like, it's hard. It's not like you can just load up a truck and drive it up there,
No,
because the roads are down. You don't know where to take it.
no.
Um, you pretty much got to bring it in by helicopter. Eat Chucky says on YouTube, cell towers are down, roads are gone, caskets are flowing down the river, dead cattle in the rivers. It's crazy. Yeah. I saw some clips of this was like the day before the storm was coming that way, and outside somebody's house, there was about four big old black bears, buddy, in the top of trees.
Wow.
Think about how smart these damn animals are. They knew the flood was coming.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how smart it was to go on the top of the tree with the
Yeah.
wind, and I
Yeah.
don't know where those bears are, but
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting. I mean, they were about 40 feet up in these trees. It was pretty cool. Cool to see. Hopefully the
34
bears,
billion, you're
hopefully they
saying
made it.
34, $35 billion damage. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
all.
But we need stuff going that way and not out of the country. That's my point of the story today.
Okay.
Um, buddy, the Gators, coming off a bye week, got UCF who got clobbered at home, rolling into the swamp. Your thoughts on this game coming up?
I'm mystified how the line shifted like it did. Florida was 1 point favorite. Now they're 2.5 point underdogs in a matter of hours. I've never in my lifetime seen a line change that fast, that close to a game. That's somebody put $5 billion down on it. We talked about it on my show last night, but yeah, it's amazing. I can't gauge this game and this team. I don't know what to expect. I was a little surprised by some of the comments by Billy, who said it was a great open date. I mean, come on, when you're 2-2, struggling for identity, trying to get a win, it can't be a great open day. I know what he meant. He got work done. We'll see about that. But yeah, I don't know what to think here. And UCF is steaming about that loss. Dion just embarrassed them, and now would be totally embarrassing if they came into the swamp and beat the Gators. But they might. They might.
Yeah, they're not a bad team, and Colorado jumped on them early and kind of took UCF out of their game plan and forced KJ Jefferson to throw the ball, which he can't live on throwing the football. It's their run game, run game, run game. So, um, yeah, we'll see. You said we were favored by one. I saw a couple of buddies of mine told we were favored by 2.5 or 3 points, and now we're an underdog.
I've heard
So,
both. I've heard both, and I was quoting out of Franz Beard's column. He's not a noted gambler, so it might be. I heard last night they flip flop from 2.5 to. I don't know. I don't follow gambling, but anyway, whatever it was, amazing. Shane, can I just inject one positive note here on this day where we lost two giants and Dikembe Mutombo,
Mhm.
Pete Rose, the horrible disaster of the hurricane, so on and so forth. And this has zero to do with any politics. I don't do politics. You don't do politics. I don't care what party you're in, whatever. This is amazing. Jimmy Carter officially turned 100 last night, the first
Wow.
ex-president to be 100 years old. So God bless you, President Carter. And I don't care what your politics are. I know this was a good man, is a good man. And to make 100 is just an amazing. So congratulations to President Carter.
Mark's question for you, buddy, on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. If we Gators lose to UCF, do they pull the plug on Napier?
I think the plug is pulled. I think it's just a question of what to do about who to guide the team. As you said last night, we talked about who do you get as an interim? I don't know who you get. And then, of course, I don't, unless Billy decides he wants out, he'd be foolish to walk away from 26 million. The best thing could happen is they could have some sort of agreement where, all right, Billy, coach the rest of the year, we'll give you 12 million, whatever it is, the number is, I don't know, and take your team to the finish line. And then they go ahead and start looking for their coach, who, by the way, why do I keep hearing the name of Jamie Chadwell in Vegas? Jamie Chadwell, Jamie Chadwell. I don't know. Uh, I don't know. The other thing is, I don't know if I was asked, what does Lane losing do? Is the
Nothing.
monster off Lane?
Nothing. Here's what I tell people. If coaches are winning and they win national championships, they're probably not going anywhere.
Right.
Okay.
I'm with you on that.
And there's only one coach that's going to do that. There's only going to be one coach that's the national champ, right? Only one team can win it. But just because you lose a game does not mean a damn thing to me. As I've stated, I think I've always said we need to play better defense. I think you can do that at some point. But I think Florida fans, and I guess I'm a fan myself, need to see explosive, fun style of play on the opposite side of the ball. I think that sells tickets, and I think it does win you a bunch of games. And the brand can help you get defensive players as well. On the Titan Our text line from Chris and Mayaka says, Shane, is it possible to fix any of our defensive woes during an off week, or do you think we will get more of the same on Saturday? I think you are what you are. We talked about this on your show last night, buddy, with everybody else. I think it's a combination of coaching issues and player personnel issues.
Urban Meyer said, if you waited till now to fix your left guard, you're in trouble. You should have fixed it in the spring or before.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of dudes on that side of the ball. I do like how Pup Howard and Shamar run around, make plays. Jason Marshall's been outstanding, but I think Jason Marshall's your only NFL guy on that side.
Why am I hearing about Harris, people about Billy being disenchanted with them? He was supposed to be the fix back there. Secondary coach, Harris.
Well, I don't think we've had terrible corner play. We have not had good safety play. I try to tell people, I don't care what your star ratings are or whatever. Football is all about instincts. You cannot teach instincts. And I don't think our safeties have any instincts at all.
And Marshall does. I think he's played really good.
I think he's very good. Very, very good. Barone says, I think Jamie Chadwell's name is being mentioned because he's the typical UF hire, no Power 5 experience, up and comer. I don't think there's any way they hired him.
The Kansas coach Leopold's getting some run too, so I can't see him hiring either one of those guys.
They're not hiring him. They're trying to run him out of Kansas right now.
Oh, he's having a bad year, but he's still in that
terrible year.
He had a couple of years prior to that, but I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. That's why, Shane, here's one thing I do. I like to wait a day and then read some things that I could. Twitter's not enough for me to find out what's going on. I want to be able to read sometimes, being a writer, read some things that make sense. And I've read a couple of things. I get up at 4:00 usually this morning, and I read a couple of things. I thought, yeah, that makes sense. That is really well done. And if you allow me a minute or two down later on, I want to read you a couple of leads on stories. I think they just put it in perspective on 3 or 4 paragraphs. Great writers can put it in perspective. I don't count myself that number, But that puts in perspective when you get past it, you say, oh, that's what happened. You get an idea. So, for instance, just a couple of paragraphs on this guy's name is Kennington Smith III. What a great name. I don't know who he is. He writes for the Athletic. And listen to this part about the game. With 2:31 remaining in Saturday's game against Georgia, Alabama called a play that Ryan Williams believes could have produced a big play across the board. His job was to win his route and capitalize if needed. The result was the first signature play of Williams' young career, 17, by the way, and another legendary highlight for Jason Milroe as the two connect on a 75-yard touchdown that propelled the Tide past Georgia in the game of the year to date. I mean, that was a remarkable game. The more I think about it, and I think just that one play. I mean, there's so many good things. The quarterback play, how it flip flopped first half going to Alabama, second half is Georgia. The character of the game. I'm just so excited about college football. If this is the kind of stuff we're going to see with the new SEC, bring it on, brother.
Yeah. Champion your recovery. Our delicious high quality protein to build muscles and electrolytes to help hydrate. Core Power replenish, repair, and rebuild. We need to send a bunch of Core Power to our folks in North Carolina. Good stuff, no question about it. Let me get a couple of these YouTubes here. Van Der says, while working for the Army, I was blessed to have worked on the Homestead, Florida recovery. I didn't believe I would ever see it again with Helene. I think I've seen it again. Well, thanks for your service there, Van Der. I don't want to say this is worse than, Katrina, or as he stated right here, what happened down in Homestead. I can't remember what hurricane that was, but
that was
I feel like it's worse because these people hadn't. I mean, you don't ever expect this to happen from a hurricane way up in the mountains. So
yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's different.
And it's hard to get. They can't go anywhere. That's the thing. So,
Yeah.
buddy, we got a question here. Where did it go? Well, let me answer Tom's here. Do we have anyone that Shane thinks like Travis Hunter, receiver, or D. Watson could play two ways? No, we don't have anybody that can play both ways. And I don't know what you're referring to, Desmond Watson. I don't think Desmond should play at all. Not even one snap.
Down on him, but you're really down on him. I know.
I'm not down on the guy, buddy. It's just a fact.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
I understand you don't think he should be playing.
I never thought he should have played at all since he's been here. Nothing against him personally, but he's a liability.
But he fell up a hole, at least on the defensive line. I mean, he does fill up a hole there.
No, they move him around, and just because he fills up a hole, that you don't even have to go his way. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't even have to block him sometimes. You can just run away from him.
You said
I just think it's a huge liability.
Did you say get somebody else on that position to play there? And I mean, you need Mass, don't you, in that position?
Well, you do, but Mass does no good if the Mass doesn't do his job. Like I said, I would rather put a backup fullback in there that can penetrate and cause disruption. That's what you need on D-line.
Yeah.
Braun said that's a good point, QB. When these storms hit areas, they aren't accustomed to getting hurricanes. They get demolished. No concrete foundations, wooden houses, Cat 5 windows, etc. Yeah, it's sad. Okay. All right. Where did that question go that I wanted to ask you? I can't find it. Somebody wanted to know here, buddy, in your opinion, would you rather have, or I guess they talked about if they were to be hired by Florida, it was between Mark Stoops and Lane Kiffin. Who do you think would be better fit and who would last longer?
I gotta go Lane Kiffin there, not even close.
Yeah.
I know everybody gets enamored with Kentucky at least once a year, twice a year, whatever. And Mark Stoops is a good average football coach. Lane Kiffin has some greatness in him, whether he can get it out of himself and get that ego of his put away. But I think he's still a brilliant offensive mind. I'm disappointed that he didn't do better in the game. How World Stoops put a kibosh on his offense. They didn't run the ball at all. As you point out, they didn't have the ball a lot in the first quarter. But I said last night, I looked up at the first quarter, they had 0 yards rushing. I mean, I don't know. So coaches fall in love with the game plan sometimes, and it's the wrong one. I still think Kiffin's a hell of a coach. It's all about getting the right coach, the right team, the right time. And it's just all about chemistry. Think about Coach Spurrier if he had got where he did when he did. So Kiffin is the guy, and you got to beat him out.
Yeah. I mean, Chris says Lane Kiffin would make Florida football fun again. Maybe we should make some hats. Um, yeah, and just because a coach loses a game, that just cracks me up that people are against him. Frank on Titan our text line says, "What do you think of the Indiana coach? He's done a quick turnaround with the Hoosiers. He's a very good coach. Had a lot of success at James Madison. Has turned the Hoosiers around.
What's his name? I don't even know his name.
Kirk Cignetti,
Okay.
Cignetti,
I don't see
Cignetti.
I don't see his
Very, very good football coach. I mean, again, he may be the next Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer has over 90% winning percentage, started his career at Sioux Falls for 3 or 4 years, won a couple of national championships because he played there.
Could happen.
He went to, huh?
It could. I mean, look, DeBoer was fantastic.
Right, but I'm saying Kirk Cignetti could be the next Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, but who's going to take a chance on at this point? I ain't hiring an Indiana coach to come up here and play and coach the Gators.
Well, I know, but they're asking the question, so I'm just throwing it out there.
I got you. I'm just giving my opinion. It's what you pay.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either, but
realistically, there are probably one or two guys that they could get. The alumni who are called the shots are going to accept, And it's got to be somebody with some big game experience in the background. They're going to hire a guy. I mean, Steve Spurrier wouldn't get hired today. They wouldn't hire him today out of Duke,
John says, what about the Minnesota Vikings coach, Kevin O'Connell? Why in the world would he leave the Minnesota Vikings to coach the Florida Gators?
Come on,
no chance. Nobody's going to leave the NFL to go back to college.
Yeah.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. All right, buddy. This game against UCF, what concerns you the most?
Well, the defense has nothing to do with UCF. Is the fact that they just can't stop anybody. And I don't know. You look at that defense, you wonder if Florida's going to win another game. I don't know. I was really shocked that Dion that took his team in there and pounded it like they did. I mean, what they're supposed to be Malsagn's year? I wrote about it. This is a moment that Malsagn's waited for to ambush the Gators coming to the swamp. Got his team 3-0. This is going to be the moment, and he lays an egg against Dion's team. What concerns me is anytime Florida tees it up now is can they compete against the team in front of them, and can they ever fix anything that they say is broken? They fix. It's like calling the plumber or calling a cable guy 5 times to your house, and each time he tells you, "Oh yeah, Mr. Martin, it's all done. It's good. We got it fixed. Never have we got." And tomorrow I got another problem. I don't see anything being fixed there at all. I'm not sure why. He's had good coaches. Something in the communication is not working. It can't be all the players' fault. Certainly, a large part of it is. I can't see it. I can't see it happening. This team, I have no confidence now in this team winning more than maybe 2 games, and they've got. I think Vegas has got them winning 2 more. So until I see some, Mississippi State wasn't enough for me. When they give up 240 yards to a terrible defense, they couldn't stop Buchholz, I don't think. So that concerns me right there. Can they at least make a stop or two? And can they not give up all this yardage? The offense, I think, is okay. I think, as you pointed out, the offensive line's got a few issues, but they've got players, they got quarterbacks, they got running backs. Something is missing, and someone, no matter who you put in our defense, can't stop the bleeding. That concerns me.
Ted says on Facebook Live, what is the difference between Lane and Dan Mullen? I think there's a big difference.
It's a good question, though.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I think players love playing for Lane Kiffin.
You think?
I do.
What happened to Dan Mullen, by the way? I think when Alabama beat him, he gave up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Dan was a good play caller, but I think Lane is a better at everything else. I mean, does Lane like to recruit? I don't know if he does or not. I don't really care. I know he gets a bunch of good players in the portal.
Send him a check. You don't have to recruit. Just say how much.
Mark says on YouTube, brought to you by Quad Plum, Gruden is interested in coaching again, the offensive guru. I don't know why he's considered an offensive guru. I like John Gruden, but his teams in the NFL were not great offensively. And there's no chance in the world we hire him.
He's not going to coach college. He'd like to.
No, well, he wants to. He's not going to be able to coach in the NFL, so he wants to get back into coaching. But there's no way we would hire him. I think Buddy has a better chance of being the head coach.
Hey, don't listen. I can call a ball play now. Don't start.
I didn't say that. I just said you probably have a better chance.
Oh, okay. Should I apply?
You should.
Okay. All right.
All right. Jack says, do either of you believe Billy should have brought in an accurate quarterback to play over Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson? I think he felt intimidated by all the type of both those quarterbacks. Billy had nothing to do with Emory Jones.
No.
Yeah. I don't understand your question.
Should have, would have, could. I don't know. I do think they were not active enough in the portal. I said it.
Well, here's what I like to tell people. You can only be so active in the portal. Do the portal players want to play for you? And do you have the money to pay the portal players? Think about that, okay? Ole Miss, and we're using Ole Miss for example because they did a tremendous job in the portal. They identified certain players and they went and got them. Like Walter Nolan's one of the top players in America, defensive tackle from A&M. Okay. Majority of our portal guys that we got were not former like stars or starters at the other schools. So I think you can go in the portal and do everything you possibly can. But again, it's just like recruiting. It's the player's decision of where he wants to go play. Yeah. And that's why I have said, and I will continue standing on the top of the mountain saying, kids want to go play for Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a quick question around time. Trent Whittemore. I guess he's going to be transferring.
You mean Creed?
Creed and Trent.
I don't know if he's going to be transferring, buddy. He likes Jeff Lebby and he likes the system. Yeah. The problem is when the quarterback got hurt, the quarterback they have now can hardly throw a hitch route.
Right.
So it's probably smart on his part because he'd waste a whole year not catching any balls. Now he still may go in the portal.
Yeah.
But he may stay at Mississippi State as well.
But didn't I read that Trent says he's not going to finish playing at UCF someplace?
Trent is at UCF.
I know. I read somewhere that he was not going to. That'd be his last game. I thought I read that. Somebody help me out. Does he have this plus one more year? I think he does.
No, Trent. This is Trent's last year at college football.
Then I guess I got
Trent is married. He will be in the swamp next week wearing a UCF jersey. But this is his last deal playing college football.
It's this week, not next week.
Yeah, this week. All right, buddy. Who you got on your show tonight?
Well, Lauren Meadows is giving the night off. He's hosting. He'll have his usual crew. David Whitley will be there. We'll have our friends from the SEC Network, Mr. Brown, and the usual group of suspects. Tonight will be a good show, I'm sure. And a clip from this show will be played tonight, my stead. So I've got some work to do on things like taxes.
All right, let's get to this day. You're like This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. 1961. You know what happened in baseball in 1961, buddy?
Home runs, Roger Maris.
Yeah, Roger Maris becomes the Major League Baseball's all-time home run leader when he passed Babe Ruth's mark with 61 on Boston rookie Tracy Stallard. Stallard. In a 1-0 win at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and by the way, so that's very true. I do remember that graphically. Do you know how Charlie Hustle got his name? Pete Rose?
Because he played hard.
No. His first game, he got a walk, and he ran to first base. And the great Whitey Ford said it disparagingly, there goes Charlie Hustle.
Well, he played hard.
Well, no, he played hard, but he walked and ran to first base. That's how he got the name. Whitey Ford at that moment called him Charlie Hustle, and it stuck. So anyway, RIP to him and others, and to Kembe and all the things. Pete Rose, you should always remember this number. How many hits did he get, Shane?
Charlie Hustle?
Pete Rose finished with how many hits? Most of
Oh,
my
I don't know the answer to this, and I should, but I don't.
You should write this down. It's like 61 home runs, 4,256 hits, and not in the Hall of Fame.
Andy says 4192.
Well, the number I got right here in front of me is it's fresh off of
Yeah.
256. So there you go.
Tom, I can't follow Tom's question here. He says Lagway in the backfield and Mertz under quarterback. What says Shane about that option?
Oh boy,
That's a terrible option.
Yeah, they
What would do?
Lagway get hurt.
Lagway is not a tailback, folks. He is not a tailback.
They got plenty of tailbacks right now.
Yeah, they have no issues at the running back position. That is for sure. All right, buddy. Good stuff as always.
All right,
be safe
Shane.
wherever you are.
Have a good night.
And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, later. That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. We're going to talk a little Gator hoops with senior writer Chris Harris from FloridaGators.com. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, CertaPro Painters, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogra State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Nest and Wild, Florida Victorious, Electronics World.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe with 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. We're going to go back to the Titan More Highline courtesy of Comfort Temp. Hail to the Redskins. I don't know the rest of the words. Chris Harry is one happy dude right now.
Braves on the warpath, fight for all. DC. By the way, the background of your has kind of commanderish kind of colors to it. I was just looking at that. So, yeah, I think it does actually. Yeah,
I haven't seen you wear a Redskins hat since in 20 years.
Actually, I wore a Redskin hat maybe the last when you had me on in April after the Commanders drafted Jaden Daniels. So that's not true. I still have Redskin gear. So
I got a question. Has Jaden Daniels been the player of the week in the NFL yet?
I think he was NFC Offensive Player of the Week last week.
Okay, so he and I have something in common with the
You
Redskins.
do. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. Chris, so all right, Gator Hoops started what, a week ago today, right?
That's right. Officially, but
what's your
they've been at it since, the new guys showed up in May, the bulk of them. And, I would say, well, it's first day of fall practice, but I mean, I've literally been to almost 50 practices in the time since then, with the NCAA lots and the X amount of X amount of hours a week during the off season. So basically it's just amping up for the 6 weeks heading into the season. So with the 2-hour practices and whatever. And you're about to ask me my assessment, and I've told people, and I try to be somewhat measured in this, but with this group, it's really, really hard. I think maybe the best team Florida has rolled out talent-wise in 10 years. Now that's saying something. Obviously, the 17 team went to the Elite Eight and actually was a 4 seed. So they were going in the NCAA tournament. They were a projected Sweet 16 team. This team has that kind of look. Obviously, the league is very, very hard. I believe they're picked 6th in the SEC, and yet they're going to be preseason top 20. So that ought to tell you how stacked some of the teams are in front of them, starting with Alabama, which will probably be the #1 team in the country when the season starts.
Text here on the Titan Mar text line from Frank. He says, please ask Chris, how confident is he that Clayton can run the point effectively?
Well, I'm confident. It doesn't matter how confident I am. What matters is Todd Golden and his staff are confident enough. The way they're going to play with the new personnel they have, they're going to remain up tempo. The goal is to get a shot in 6 seconds or be in position to start executing offense in 6 seconds. And they've just up the amount of ball screens in their offense because they have better personnel to do it. The addition of Elijah Martin is really going to help them on both ends of the floor. The bigs are better than they were last year. As good as Tyrese was offensively last year, he wasn't a great defender. He was awfully good with the ball in his hands and creating and what have you. But Ruben Chinelio gives them a little bit different look. He's the transfer from Washington. He's as athletic as any big they've had here in a very, very long time. He's a little raw, but he's incredibly active. And when you pair him down alongside Alex Condon, you have 2 guys that are just they just move a lot. That's one thing. I was texting back and forth with one of the assistant coaches last night, and the scrimmage they had yesterday is it's every day. It's just ferocious competitiveness among these guys. And I think what the fans are really going to enjoy is how hard they play, how fast they play, and an exciting brand of basketball. They really, really, really compete hard.
Back to Walter Clayton Jr., because I love his athleticism. I love the way he shoots the basketball. But going back to my basketball days in high school, I was a 1 and a 2. Obviously, you're off the ball, coming off screens, and you're more of a shooter as the 2 guard, which I think that's what Clayton is. So do you think he personally likes to have the ball in his hand, or would he rather be the shooting guard?
First of all, when you were a 2, you weren't covering Chris Jackson, were you?
I tried.
Okay.
We tried everything, and it didn't work.
Okay.
And my team was loaded, by the way.
Does Walter prefer the ball in his hand? Walter is a great basketball player. Okay, he can score obviously at all 3 levels. He had his moments last year that weren't great with the ball in his hands. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. And unfortunately for the Gators and for Walter, a couple of those moments came late in games and were costly. He acknowledges that very openly. When he went into the NBA eval process in the offseason, things they told him, you need to be better facilitating, and you have to be a much better defensive player. I think he's taken huge steps on both of those fronts. But like I said, he's good enough with the ball in his hands for what the Gators are going to ask them to do. And there's enough guys around him and enough the way they play He's not going to be sitting there pounding the ball
Right.
like Zion
Right.
Pullen did last year. Okay, they're going to be moving the ball a lot more. He's not the prototypical or conventional point guard that you're talking about. But like when you ask somebody, he goes, how many true point guards are there anymore when you really think about it? Because it's
Yeah.
become so positionless, the nature of the game, that you really got to do a little bit of everything. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's got a chance, obviously, to be one of the best players in the Southeastern Conference this year. And he's got a different kind of wingman this year, in Elijah Martin from Florida Atlantic. Whereas this time last year, we were talking about Walter Clayton and Riley Kugel, correct? And when Riley Kugel played last year, you didn't know what you were getting. You know what you're getting with Elijah Martin because he has 5 years of it, okay? Or this will be his 5th year of who he is as a defender, as a three-point shooter, as another 3-level player, and as a guy who works really, really well off ball screens. It's going to be a dynamic duo in the backcourt.
Matt from Mississippi here wanted to know if I played against Murrah and James Robinson in high school. I think James Robinson is a little younger than me, but we had Laterro Green and Melvin Booker down in Moss Point were in our district as well. So really good basketball players. Florida Cracker, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. We got Chris Harry here on the Tight Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Chris, a bunch of people here are asking about the status of the Boozer Twins recruitment. Where do we stand on that, and when are they making an announcement?
Well, as you know, I can't get into a lot of detail on that,
Okay.
but they are still recruiting, and all the reports are it's a Miami, it's a Duke, and it's a Florida push. They were on campus a couple weeks ago for the Stanford game. That was an unofficial visit. We'll see how it all plays out. The less you hear about it, in terms of the less you hear on social media about the Gators, probably isn't a great sign. But they've done everything they could to this point, I think, and the Boozers will probably be making up their mind in the next couple of weeks.
Next couple of weeks. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So when you look at this roster, obviously there's a lot of new players, but is there one guy that you can let the fans know that you think will be, I don't want to say a surprise, but the fans are going to like this player?
Yeah, the fans are going to like Ruben Chinyelo, assuming he can stay on the floor. He is a hacker. Okay. He had that problem at Washington State.
Kind of like you at Gainesville Health and Fitness back in the day?
I don't think anyone confused me of overextending myself on the defensive end of the floor at Gainesville Health and Fitness now. This guy, he's about 6'10" and a half, about 255, but his wingspan is a 7'8" or 7'10". I get, so he's going to block a lot of shots. He's going to get a lot of offensive rebounds, a lot of defensive rebounds, obviously. They're going to get tips and second chance opportunities. But again, I go back to what I said before. He competes. He competes, and he's bouncy. He can move laterally. He's fast. So you see him winning some of the back up and downs that they do sometimes. So again, if there's ever a situation, we were talking about this yesterday. If it's Ruben at the 5, Condon at the 4, and Tommy Hawk is going to get some reps at the 3 this year, in addition to being a mostly 4-man. I have a hard time believing there'll be the front court of 3 guys in the country that'll play as hard as those 3 guys on the floor at one time. So again, going into this season, one of Todd Golden's biggest goals is to improve a defense that was 94th in the country in efficiency last year versus compared to an offense, I think that was 12th. So he might sacrifice some of that offense. They don't want to, because they still got a very good offensive some punch on that side of the ball, but they can bring that defense down in the 40s, even 30s, or better even than that. Then they're obviously you're going to be a much better player. There was just last year too many straight line drives for baskets, and ball screen defense wasn't great. And some of it had to do with a guy like Zion Pullen played so many minutes last year. By the end of the season, he was worn out. I think that showed up a little bit in some of the late games, especially the Colorado game. And again, they're playing such a fast pace on offense. I kind of caught up to them on the defensive end too. So now they're going to try to even some of this out a little bit.
Natasha on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Are the Boozer twins a package deal? I see they said that they are deciding independently, but everything I see is they are going to the same place.
I would think they go to the same place. So
Now they're not identical, are they?
no, one's 6'9", the other is 6'4", I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're quote identical twins, but they look alike. But I'm just saying the size differential is profound. One of them's the number 2 player in the country by ranking, and the point guard is the I'd say top 30 player, top 25.
Interesting. Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law. Will Olivier Rouault, I don't know if I pronounced that right, be used in special situations, or will he never see the court?
I don't think he'll play at all this year. His skills haven't caught up to his body. I don't know if they ever will at 7'9". But whereas during the summer he did a lot of standing and watching, and when they were doing, he's off doing stuff by himself, doing individual skill work and cardio and stuff, which is what he really, really needs to do if he's going to compete at this level. He's been playing a lot more in practice since the season started, and that's all they're going to ask from him now is just to play hard and try and do what they can to get better. But the four bigs that they have right now, and I haven't mentioned Sam Alexis yet. He's a 6'8.5" transfer from Tennessee Chattanooga, where he averaged almost a double-double. He came in and he's really worked himself into shape, and I haven't mentioned yet, but he's going to play a lot this year. And he's a pretty promising guy with 2 years remaining.
John's question for you on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Has Condon put on any significant size compared to last year? To me, he was getting bullied underneath a lot last year.
Who asked that question?
John.
John. He actually doesn't look like he's gained a whole lot of weight. He just I think I'm taking the Alex Condon from last year, and he may have been pushed around a little by some bigger guys, but he's not giving in to those bigger guys, I don't think. And I just think he's learned how to play better. Remember, this is an Australian rules football player with Australian rules football dad, like an all-star Australian. So he's tough. Can run all day, can play all day, can obviously take a punch and we'll give one back. And I love his attitude. And he doesn't look like he's a whole lot bigger. Maybe he should have gotten bigger. They certainly tried, but he may have one of those frames that maybe that's not so easy to do with.
I know the schedule came out, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't look at it. I need to. Are we playing in any Thanksgiving Maui Invitationals this year?
Now, what they open against USF at Jacksonville, okay? But in terms of the games that you're talking about, I
thought we were going to play down in Orlando. We're not doing that tournament?
Well, yeah, but you just asked about that. You want to know where you're.
Oh, I do. My bad.
Go ahead. Things. So, can I finish the question?
Yes.
Yeah. They're playing in a game at Disney, or excuse me, it's a week. It used to be a 3-game tournament at the Melk House. Remember, they used to call that place the Melk House, but now it's just 4 teams are in it. So we're playing 2 games in 2 days, and it is I think it's Thursday and Friday before the Florida State football weekend. They play Wake Forest in either Wichita or Minnesota on the other end. Now they got a neutral site game in Atlanta against Arizona State, and obviously they have the Junkman Classic against North Carolina. And so what you're talking about is they don't go to Sunrise this year. So they got University of Virginia as a home game, like early on in the season, which is the ACC SEC challenge or whatever it's called. But it's not a great schedule in terms of big power number opportunities. I think North Carolina obviously will be a neutral site. That'll be a top 50, so that's a quad 1. And the other one has a good chance to be a quad 1 is playing Wake Forest in the first round of that other game. Arizona State, maybe a quad 2, but they'll have plenty of opportunity to make up for the quad 1s once the SEC season starts.
Yeah, no question. All right, Chris, before we get you out of here, a bunch of people today, they've been talking about potential hires for a football coach if things go bad here. Gruden. We worked with John Gruden covering the Bucks those years, and I think he's a good football coach, but he is no offensive genius. And do you think there's any chance that he would even be considered by the Gators?
Here's what I used to talk when people talked about John Gruden. All right, he considered a quarterback savant, and I like John. I got along with John pretty well. I mean, we had some give and take that maybe and he can dish it out too. What quarterback did he ever develop?
That's what I told the listener, the text or whatever. I said, look, he's a good football coach. He won a Super Bowl.
Oh no,
but it's not like he set records offensively in the National Football League. They were boring as hell to watch.
He didn't develop Rich Gannon. Okay, he didn't develop Brad Johnson. He didn't develop. I mean, trying to think who was. I mean, he had Brian Greasy who got hurt the year they went to the other time they went to the playoffs. Was Chris Sims was actually their quarterback. I don't think he ever developed. And then Jeff Garcia was the quarterback of his other playoff team. He always, to me, was this guy as if John Gruden had Peyton Manning, he'd want Tom Brady. If he had Tom Brady, he'd want Peyton Manning. He was kind of always that guy, but he does know quarterback play.
Yeah.
In terms of him coaching college, I mean, I think he would excite the masses, but he's never done it before. He's been a wide receiver coach at Tennessee 40 years ago. So
I don't see it happening at all.
And is he sitting down there in Tampa waiting for someone to call him? Sure. I mean, I guarantee he spends his days, holed up in a dark room like the time you saw him, right? Getting ready for somebody to call, but I don't know if that's going to happen, obviously, because he's obviously got some baggage.
All right. Last basketball question. We get you out here. Micah is definitely redshirting, but how is he able to get up and down the court, or what's he doing right now?
Yeah, he's moving around. I mean, he's doing like he's too tall for the alt G. You know what that is? Like that bubble that you can get in and run. That's anti-gravity. And
it's too big for him.
It's a bubble that comes up. You drop into it. It's a bubble, and it's so you're not pounding, and that's how players now rehab running wise from knee injuries and lower body injuries. But I think into December he'll be with the scout team and running and doing the stuff that he'll be able to back playing. But he's out on the floor helping. He takes shots. He shoots after practice and stuff like that. But he's not doing stuff where he's pounding on the floor right now.
And he'll have how many years left?
2.
2 years left. Mm-hmm. Okay, good stuff. Chris, let everybody know, you got any good articles you're working on?
No.
No? You're busy writing articles about Jaden Daniels.
If I could, I would. I'm gonna delve a little bit. Today's the first day. They're practicing in the O-Dome. They practiced there yesterday. Today they're gonna practice. They're gonna have SEC officials in the house, which is good because all the coaches have been talking about this team fouls too much and they have to stop fouling, and maybe they'll get a little bit of a wake-up call. If they really want to be a great defensive team this year, they have to do it without fouling. And today they get kind of a preview of coming attractions, and that hopefully they get Ruben Chinielo's attention because they're running them when they foul too much. They're talking about it. So it's going to be a point of emphasis certainly all the way up to the start of the season. And this will be a good maybe kind of baseline from which to work.
When the basketball teams used to do those secretive scrimmages,
they're not so secretive anymure.
Right. Okay, so when are those? Or are you able to tell us who they're scrimmaging?
Yeah.
There's no rules in sports anymore. So tell us who they are.
I don't think so. Florida International is coming here. I think it's 2 weeks from.
Who's their coach now?
It's not Isaiah Thomas, I don't think. So I think he bounced around there. Honestly, I don't even know. I think they weren't very good last year. They play them 2 weeks from Saturday, I think. So I'd like the 16th or maybe the 19th, something like that, whatever the date is. And then the next week, again, another one in the O-Dome. They play the College of Charleston, and their coach is Chris Mack, who was at Louisville and was at Xavier when they had some really good teams. So he's in his first year there. So again, those would be the last year they played Miami in a scrimmage, and I forget who the other team, maybe Jacksonville or someone like that. But nowadays they're allowed to show video of these games, and you're just not allowed to televise them or write live about them. And the coaches always have some agreement about how many stats can get public and stuff. So it's only a fast scrimmage, secret scrimmage.
So my great staff here, my listeners, Andy says Jeremy Ballard is the coach at FIU. Never heard of him.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, Chris, good stuff as always, my friend. Appreciate your time.
See you, Shane. Take care.
That's Chris Harry from FloridaGators.com. You can follow him on Twitter at GatorsChris. That's going to do it for today's program. Electronics World, integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment, affordable local installation service and support. Go check them out at electronicsworld.net. Hope y'all enjoyed today's program. Appreciate everybody chiming in. We'll be here tomorrow, folks. Take care.